Well, welcome to the Esports Performance Summit. We're here with Barton Scott. Bart, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to join.
Yeah, well, we're excited to get to know you a little bit and hear more from you today. Barton, do you mind giving us a little bit of background on yourself and kind of where you've been, where you are, and what the intersection with esports has been?
Certainly. Well, I have a multi perspective on when it comes to nutrition and how it plays in with esports. I myself was a top athlete in high school and in a couple different sports, primarily wrestling. So I understand the mentality of hard work, certainly, and through going to school for chemical engineering, I realized that I had some serious brain fog I had to address. Like my mind really wasn't working at about age 25, about 7 years ago, and I just had to fix it. And I knew that I had to approach it differently. I had to actually come up with the solution, invent something different, because what was out there on the market really wasn't working. So it started with testing, but it's very much a personal sort of journey of solving my own problem, and then also realizing that a lot of other people really needed help, really desperately needed help. They're going to lose their job or not perform well at work, not get the promotion, things like that. So for me, I was basically, I was really fit, think six pack, and yet, your brain's not working, and you're kind of freaking out because you're not really remembering what you wrote down or that sentence you just reread, things like that. So I'm sure we can get into it in a moment, but basically my background as it stands today is that I'm a chemical engineer, but I'm also a nutritionist. I'm also a former athlete. So I look at the world through my patients, through myself, and through these lenses. And I've created some products that really absorb well, so you're able to address deficiencies with a test. We use hair testing, and then actually change them, actually move the needle. So that means more focus, things like that. So.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that as well. But I like to dive back into the problem a little bit more.
Sure.
You said your brain was foggy, trouble remembering things. Could you elaborate a little bit as far as what was going on? And I assume you sought help from different places. What did and didn't work? Because one of the things with nutrition, obviously, is everyone's different. You know that as well as anybody else, and no one solution is right for every person. So helping people understand more where you're coming from can help them understand what relatability may or may not be, baby.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, we're able to, I guess just generally too, hopefully this will address it. Every problem that you may have, I guess I could say it this way, is that, I talk to a lot of people and at this point, after looking at nearly 1,000 hair analyses, I can see patterns between the data when I do consultations for people and help them in coaching, health coaching and stuff. But what I notice is that people kind of think that their problems are special. They think, oh, well, I don't sleep well, so therefore, but, surely you can't help me. I've had this problem for a long time or all my life, or things like that. Or, oh, I've had blood sugar issues, or, I've struggled with losing weight or putting on muscle, or remembering, focusing, not being scattered. All of these things are driven by minerals, not vitamins. Vitamins your body can make if it has the right minerals. And so that's why we start there. That is why we look there. That is the I can't build a house without a foundation sort of thinking. Minerals are that foundation. The problem is they're not easy to absorb.
Well, and it's like, let's go back a little bit to, you mentioned hair test, which I'm a little bit familiar with from your website, but can you go back and talk about what you mean by that and how that fits into the equation?
Certainly. All right. Probably a disclaimer for the audience is I don't care. I'll just say it flat out. I don't care if you smoke weed. It's okay. We don't test for those things. I get this question all the time, Brian, so I just want to head it off at the juncture. What we look at, and this is the only thing we test for, data is not shared publicly, unlike genetic data, for example. The only thing we test for is your mineral deficiencies, because it's all we really care about, and your heavy metal levels, your heavy metal toxicity. Those are the things we look at. Now, those two things drive everything in the body. So, yeah.
Well, and let's talk about that, because I think these are topics that I'm assuming most people aren't super familiar with. I mean, we all
sure.
grew up hearing about take a multivitamin type thing.
Sure.
And then, you mentioned heavy metals and stuff. And the reason that piques my interest is because in recent years, as I've looked at research different water filters, for example, you think, hey, I've got a water filter. Great. I'm good. But you realize, well, that may filter out algae, for example, but what about heavy metals? What about other kinds of pollutants and all that kind of thing? And so I know that those are factors in water supply and all that kind of thing. So I think, you being able to educate us on some of those things would be really helpful. So let's talk about
Sure.
what do you mean when mineral deficiencies? Let's start there.
Yeah, certainly. And real quick on the water supply, you're absolutely right. What I tell people too is, if you upgrade your water and your body's 70% water, do you think that your body will work better, that your brain will work better?
I'd like to hope so.
Yeah, I'd like to hope so, right? Yeah, so mineral deficiencies in general. What are they? Why does it matter? Sounds kind of technical. Is it really? Answer is yes and no. To try to keep it simple, think of it on a planetary sort of basis, a big zoom out for a second. Where are we right now? We're on a rock spinning through the universe. Well, that's great and all, you might say, but how does that help me with my nutrition? How does it help me with gaming? How does that help me with anything? Well, mathematically, there's certain things that your body absolutely has to have. You cannot negotiate with these things. In other words, if you don't have them, you're going to have a tendency to drink more. For example, like alcoholics have a certain deficiency pattern when it comes to minerals. People that have certain problems with stress have certain mineral patterns that are very easy to identify. So these are life-changing sort of methods that if you correct them, if you realize what they are by testing and then are able to correct them in a reasonable amount of time, we're talking a couple weeks to a couple months, I mean, the sky's the limit. So I just kind of want to start there and back away from that, or kind of give you that broader view. But yeah, we're absolutely, chromium, for example, blood sugar, vanadium, blood sugar, manganese, memory, these things, magnesium, if you don't have enough, your heart will stop. Headaches, magnesium, muscle contraction, potassium, so the body's a very, yeah, I'll stop for there, actually.
Well, and with that, I think, again, many of us grew up hearing take a multivitamin, which
Sure.
itself, the whole point of that is most people probably aren't getting an even diet, so let's supplement with something. And that's a very basic supplement, but most people have no idea.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea, and it's just so easy,
When you have no idea okay, I assume with these percentages or what they are, you might look at the back every now and then and realize that you don't know what most of those things mean or what they do.
Right.
But I think I'm curious that the average.
I can address that real quick too. But we'll come back to it. Sorry, where were
if you
you?
want to. Well, I'm thinking about just focusing on the minerals, as you're saying. I'm curious what typical deficiencies you see with most people, because I think most people, again, are drinking public water. Of course, the can vary from place to place as far as the nature of that water.
Yep.
Probably eating fairly similar diets, and I think that a lot of people can have some significant deficiencies and issues that affect daily life that you just assume are normal. And and it sounds like that's kind of what you're speaking to. I'd be really curious to hear what are some commonplace things that you see and how those are tied to a mineral deficiency and what maybe solutions could be.
Yeah, certainly. All right. Well, yeah. And with multivitamins, real quick, it's not something you want to do. All your products in there aren't necessarily chemically interacting the way they should, which means, what does that mean? It means they cancel each other out. I'm sorry to give you that news, but that is what happens. Why is it done? Well, people want an easy solution. They want to believe in a super easy solution. Turns out our solutions are really easy as well. They're just different. They actually work too. That's also something that's pretty cool. So you get results, you see your levels move. But when it comes to deficiencies that most people have, if they're not investing in a hair analysis, then they are just guessing. But if we want to give them an educated guess, 2 things they need more of that they're not getting enough of in their diet, right? That's what we would determine as a deficiency. Would be magnesium and potassium. No one really is getting enough of those. 80% or more in the case of magnesium. And this thing, what does that mean? And then 98% in the case of potassium. What does that mean? Well, with magnesium, it drives 700 to 800 different things in the body. So what happens with that? And potassium drives many things as well. Well, that means that your body can't do those things either at all or not very well at a cellular level. So, what do you do? What do you do?
What are some examples you can think of as far as, so if someone is magnesium deficient, what are symptoms of that they could maybe identify or understand the importance of?
Yeah, so great question. With magnesium, it's really easy to identify, luckily. Constipation's the easy one. Headaches is another. I see patients that have just severe PMS on the female side that is completely reducible to a large extent with just not having deficiency in magnesium. Their body's cramping and then therefore their muscles can't relax.
So what's an example? Like, so if someone that says, man, I'm having trouble with that, like, how do you get more magnesium, and are there risks? Like, is there risks of getting too much magnesium on the other side? Because some vitamins you can overdo and end up causing other problems.
Yeah, certainly. Vitamins, again, and this is okay, but just to make the distinction again for people, the conversation, and my area of expertise really is in minerals. And the way you think of those things are vitamins your body can make if it has sunlight, and if it has minerals, and if it has water. So air, water, sunlight, minerals. You can make almost all the vitamins you need. So minerals are more fundamental then, if we understand that. And we also understand we have to get those. So where do you get them? Well, you can go to your supermarket. You can go over to the organic veggie aisle, and you can eat about a pound of exactly the right greens that were grown in a soil that is not depleted of those minerals, which you don't know, of course, if it was or wasn't. It's a good chance that it wasn't grown in that sort of soil.
Let me interrupt you for just a minute there too, because that's another factor. Because this is why I asked about kind of common issues that Americans face. Because we'll think, oh well, I eat a couple of pieces of fruit or vegetables from the supermarket, so I've covered my bases there. But I heard someone in a conversation recently say, and I can't validate this, but it sounds reasonable, but that basically the difference between eating fresh produce and not fresh produce, even just like something that was grown fresh in one part of the country and takes several days to travel to your supermarket, loses a significant amount of its minerals and vitamins in that process. Is that accurate?
Well, sort of.
Okay.
They're a little mistaken, but the general principle is right. The ultimate factor you care about is what are you eating, and is it delivering the things? Because most of us don't eat pick some fruit or vegetable you don't like. You don't eat it because it tastes great. You don't like it. You eat it because you think it's going to make you healthy and give you vitality, right? That's why you do it. So what happens there is that Okay, so you're picking during a growing cycle when say the cucumber or the apple or the banana is a great example, is still green. It's actually green. It's metaphorically green in that it hasn't reached maturity. Now, they pick it way early and transport it across the country before it's had time to gather any nutrients that are available in the soil. So those nutrients aren't available, and then it's ripening as it travels across the country. So, yeah, your friend was kind of on the whole correct in terms of the result, certainly.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does, and I asked that because you made the comment too about what kind of soil was it planted in.
Yeah.
There's so many different factors that go into this, and we can get into idealism a little bit, which can get us, may not necessarily be a true reality, but think of pre-mass manufactured food. If someone's growing crops on a farm in, we'll say, more traditional ways, not in as much mass production without as many outside chemicals. There's just a healthier dynamic. The soil is healthier, which helps with the mineral intake for the fruits and vegetables, and you can pick them closer to when they're actually ripe, as opposed to really early, because you're not transporting them as far. Just simple things like that can dramatically change the minerals and vitamins you're getting from the fruits and vegetables. I mean, that's what I hear part of the point you're making. Is that accurate?
That is part of the point,
Okay.
certainly.
Okay.
The other point is that you can't guarantee either way in any scenario at all that what you're eating has what you're hoping it has in it, what you're depending on it to have. Now, we third-party test our supplements to make sure they have what we say they have in them, and that they are pure. In other words, they're not contaminated with heavy metals. Vegetables aren't done, like that. And fruits, I don't mention fruits that much because they have so much sugar. So many fruits have so much sugar that, yes, they do have fiber, so it is better than eating candy or something. But fruits and vegetables are really not very similar. From an intake standpoint, unfortunately. I mean, they're great as dessert, though, and they're great in the evening when you're not worried about your blood sugar spiking because you've done all your work during the day, if you're like a normal American worker that goes to an office or something, or has a regular kind of 9 to 5, 9 to 7 sort of work. But so, I mean, really, it's taking nutrition in your own hands, and if you're firm, like, I think we all have things in our life that we're willing to negotiate on and accept subpar behavior and performance with, and then other areas where we're not. So if you're someone that wants to take nutrition into your own hands and you want to know, and maybe you have to heal something, maybe you have an autoimmune issue, maybe you just don't focus that well and you were on Ritalin or Adderall or something for years, or Monster Energy or something like that, that is really depleting your body of these minerals, and you need to replenish these things. Or you've been an athlete, or you've just pushed your body and brain really hard, then you have to replenish. And you can't really depend on what you're eating to do that, unfortunately.
And it sounds like a key thing with all that you're saying comes back to that idea of the hair analysis, that unless you know where you stand, you don't know where to start. And so you may be thinking you're getting these vitamins from these foods, but for various reasons the foods aren't providing them. Maybe you're getting what you need, but because of other activities or things you're drinking or doing, you're depleting your body more than you realize. And so ultimately you need an accurate assessment. And it sounds like, based upon your research, that testing hair samples is one of the best way to do that. Can you talk about, again, why hair samples are so significant as opposed to other testings?
100%. Real quick, who out there, by show of hands, granted it's a recorded call, but just think to yourself, do you enjoy getting stuck with a needle? Do you enjoy driving across town, waiting in traffic, sitting under poor, horrible lighting in a doctor's office, filling out some bogus form, getting some weird questions, getting kind of handled, and then only to get stuck and have a nurse miss your vein? or have a son or daughter or family member that you watch them, you go in with them and you see them kind of wince in pain because the nurse missed your daughter's arm, her vein. This stuff happens. It's happening right now. It happens all the time. So in terms of fun perspective, or ease of use, the hair is way easier. Now, is it better? That's actually way better too. Anyone that I used to work in, unfortunately, for a big company that required hair testing. They required hair testing as a drug screen, and they do that because insurance companies gave them a better insurance rate, because it is by their standard. And insurance companies don't make mistakes with things like this because they're really on the line in so many different ways. They value a hair test for drugs, or in our case, not drugs, but minerals. We want to know what your minerals are, what you've been eating, more so than blood. Now, blood is, think of pictures versus video. When you look at a couple pictures versus you watch a video that's a few minutes long or maybe an hour long, how much more data do you get when you watch that video?
Sure.
So much.
It's a collection of thousands and thousands of photos, basically.
Exactly. So think of your hair kind of like a core sample in the ground or in a tree, the way you pull a sample. Your hair is kind of like that. It's like a dipstick in a car also. It's what's going on. Now, your blood's just a really crucial area of your body. So it's actually a last place that your body is going to show any sign of weakness is your blood. Because your blood has to maintain, you will die if your blood's pH rises just more than just a few tenths of a point, dead, or in a coma for sure. So what does that mean? That means your body is leaching. You go out drinking, your body is leaching. You go out and you flood your blood with stress toxin. Now, hair is, they say skin is our largest organ. I propose you think of your hair, whether it's on your head or pubic hair or underarm hair or chest hair, wherever it is, think of that as an organ as well. It is a better approximation than blood ever could be. Blood's it's really a snapshot. You get about a week's worth of data. And you can skew it so easily.
So
with hair, you get 6 or 8 weeks of data.
Random question.
Does that make sense? The 6 or 8 weeks. It's huge. So.
No, it's more like a kind of an ongoing core sample.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of curiosity, can fingernails offer similar value, or is that just a whole different kind of ballgame?
Yes, that's a great question. That's really observant of you. We can actually test fingernails too, and we can produce the same result.
So, just out of curiosity, as far as just biologically, like anatomy wise, why does hair and fingernails serve as that kind of recording type device? I guess it's just a regular output from your body, and it just is recording. It's healthy based upon how healthy your body was at that moment. And is that
Sure.
the general idea?
It really is. It is what you are becoming. It is. It is. We are extruding out the things that we have eaten 2 months ago. That is what our hair and our nails and our skin reflects that too. But yeah, unless you want to go in and have me biopsy your liver or something, I would say a better approximation, a better result is just taking a little hair. And that's why I say, underarm, other areas of your body work as long as you have enough in the sample that the kit, recommends, because, some people do shave their head or et cetera, et cetera. So.
And so if someone goes and gets a hair test, is this something that someone can get done at a lot of places, or is that something
Not
very
really.
unique to you, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we work with an incredibly good lab. And the way that works is someone just goes to our website, upgradedformulas.com, and then they just pick up a test. They might pick up a consultation too, and that way we can help them decipher what it means. If they want to take that somewhere else, they can. So yeah, they just pick up a test, or the test and consultation. They're on their path to understanding what they need to fix.
Great.
Which is awesome, because I mean, I personally spent somewhere around 10 grand when I was first trying to figure out, I did genetic testing. I did every type of blood testing you've ever heard of, plus probably a lot of them you haven't heard of, unless you're in the medical field. And you just ask yourself, what can I take action on? So when you look at your genetics, for example, and you go, okay, great. So I can take action on 10% of this. And how much does that move the needle in my sleep, my health, my wealth, like what I'm able to produce in my life? What are my outputs? What are my results? What can I change? And I can tell you, it just isn't much. It isn't much. It's valuable, and you should do it too, but it's more expensive than hair testing. And if you're going to do the full kit and everything, and it's just, really only of value if you take action on it, if you make changes that are the right changes. So,
well, and also,
does that make that seem logical enough, right?
yeah. No, well, I mean, if you, it doesn't matter what test you do, if you get results back and you don't act on them, if you go to your doctor, and they give you a prescription and you don't take it, then it's kind of on you, right? Which is one of the reasons we're doing this summit, is to help people educate and realize the importance of preventative care and taking care of themselves. And which I think brings us up here with what you're discussing as far as this intersection with esports, in terms of just your performance. Because obviously if someone's struggling with things like you mentioned, just foggy thinking, memory, and any number of things, I guess, where you just feel off, it's very possible there could be a mineral deficiency. And one way to determine that is, one way to do that is potentially a hair test, which can or a fingernail test. It can give you an example of, hey, here's where you're doing great. Here's where you have some deficiencies. But again, then it's up to you to do something about it. But just that awareness can be really significant, in terms of someone to be able to operate, just to be healthier in life in general, but also perform at a higher level when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, that's really well said. I've been in this so long that I meet people all the time that are sort of freaked out, that they don't know what to do next, and they're really not unsatisfied, but dangerously uncertain about their health. And not every one of us is in touch enough with our health to realize. I think being a wrestler, I was always, from an early age, I was always thinking, how do I feel? Do I have enough energy to do what I need to do on the mat, off the mat, things like that? And I think some people, however you develop it, hopefully you develop that skill of checking in with your body. We get so stuck in our minds, but checking in with your body and asking and understanding, kind of querying, what's going on? How are we doing there? But yes, I mean, so a test is for people that aren't great at that, or even if you are good at that, you kind of can drift into this place of, I'm pretty sure I'm low in copper, so I'm gonna eat some more avocado or whatever. That's not going to do it for you. It really isn't, because you might not be, because there's some symptoms are very similar, and they have identically opposite mineral deficiencies. So just test, don't guess. Or like you said earlier, unless you know where you stand, you don't know where to start. It's as if you're holding a map and going, all right, so Brian, we're going to drive to New Mexico, and just hop in the car, and I don't know which way the car's pointing, but I want you to just let's get there, and I really got to get there soon. So
Yeah, we'll get there eventually, right? It's like,
So, yeah,
not
so
likely.
people are, you're just going to go in some circles
The
and
car's
people,
gonna run out of gas and have some issues. But no, that's great.
yeah,
Well, no, this is helpful because I think about, um, there's a, for reasons we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of assumptions a lot of us can make in terms of our health, and a lot of assumptions we can think as far as like, oh, well, this is just the way things are, and or maybe I'm thinking, hey, I'm really healthy, but
yeah,
once you do some assessments, you can realize, hey, I didn't realize these deficiencies were there, and they're making an impact. And you hear this stuff, and lots of people will talk about things when it comes to your diet, how much of an impact it has, and that's kind of part of this conversation as well. And so, yeah, we
yeah.
really appreciate you, Barton, for being a part of the summit and for helping educate us and other gamers about some different tools they can be aware of to help them have a better assessment of their own personal health, and maybe wisdom on some steps they can take to, I guess, improve some deficiencies and just be healthier overall in life and gaming. So really appreciate you taking the time and being a part of the summit.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm here to help. This is really what it's about. I mean, the company is growing and we're able to help more and more people. And it's what I do it. There's a lot of different ways to earn a living in the world. And as far as I know, we only get one go at it. And yeah, I think if you feel like you're making an impact in the world, in the lives of other people, which the products are, the testing is, the knowledge, the sharing of the right knowledge. So many people don't know where to turn. Then you just feel better when you're focused on other people and helping them. And yeah, that's why I'm blessed to really love what I do, and help other people that love what they do that is different. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well said. And I'm a firm believer that usually you get more out of serving than you give. And
certainly.
there's a real blessing that comes from serving others and helping like that. So we appreciate you doing that for us here today, and all the gamers listening, and all the other people that are being helped by your efforts as well. So thanks again, and really appreciate it, Barton.
Certainly, guys, girls. Yeah, hope that was helpful. Thanks, and hopefully talk to you all soon at the summit.